begin all of our programs with the singing of the national anthem. And we do that to reflect our love of this great country, to reflect our great appreciation of the liberties and freedoms that are afforded to all citizens, but particularly Jewish citizens of this great nation. Please rise, and Cantor Barry Tamarack will lead us in the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last evening, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bumpers singing in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and home of the brave?
Tremendous advocate for Rockland County, and she's going to be giving us some opening remarks.
First of all, I want to thank the JCC for bringing us together. To David and Stephen and all the other members, this is a place we needed to be. The fact that it's standing room only makes my heart swell with pride to know that in times of crisis, in times of tragedy, this is what New Yorkers do. We come together and we show a united face that there is no room. Let me repeat, no room for hate in our state. And you can take that to the bank, because that is our motto, that is our slogan here in the great state of New York. I am proud to be joined by Senator Schumer and many of our elected officials. Majority Leader Andre Stewart Cousins has joined us, many of our colleagues from the Assembly and the Senate. And also I'm here to represent Governor Cuomo and 20 million New Yorkers who stand with you tonight in Rockland County. They are here in spirit to say, we know this is not who you are. What happened is not indicative of the people who live here. This is indicative of the people who call Rockland County their home. And this is the message that I'm going to deliver loud and clear. Make no mistake. If you dare, as someone who's a lone wolf, or as someone who's perpetrating hate on the invisible world of the internet and hate sites, or whether you're part of an organized hate organization, you will be caught, you'll be prosecuted, and you will end what you are trying to do to our society. It ends here tonight. And our governor has been loud and clear on this. And we go back to the legislature, and I'm looking at our colleagues. They will stand together and make sure that we identify what happened here in Monsey, in this great county, will be described and determined to be domestic terrorism, because that's exactly what it is. You are trying to terrorize people and stop them from exercising their God-given right to exercise their freedom of worship and to live without fear. And I will close by saying, as I left my office in Manhattan, I glanced out the window and through the fog, my eyes rested on Roosevelt Island, and I saw the monument to the four freedoms, the speech that FDR gave at a time when a crisis was imploding across Europe in 1941. And he said that every human being has the right to be free from fear. And I'm telling you right now, we are going to live that. We all have a right to be free from fear. And whether you're walking the streets of Crown Heights, or Jersey City, or worshiping in Pittsburgh, or walking or visiting your friends to celebrate Hanukkah here in Monsey, you have a right to be free from fear, and we'll fight to protect that right with every breath in our body. So thank you for joining together. You make me proud as New Yorkers, and thank you. We stand together, and we stand united. Thank you very much.
So here we are again. We were about a little over a year ago, we were here to unite or rally about the 11 people who died in Pittsburgh. I thought at that time, we're never going to do it again. Unfortunately, we are doing it again. I hope we're not going to do it again, but we can only hope. Today is the end of the Hanukkah holiday. And Hanukkah is the miracle of lights. And my father always told me, anything bad that happens, there's always going to be some good that comes out of it. With them is that we fight them. We go online and we try to criticize them, and we say you're wrong. And I think we need to stop to do that. I don't believe we should individually fight these people who post these outrageous things. If we see a post that we know is hate, anti-Semitic, answer them with the hashtag, "This is hate speech." Say it with me all together. This is hate speech. It's very important that we let all these people know that we're not going to take it, that this is hate speech, and we want to get that hashtag going. So it'll be trending and people will see what the hell is going on. You know, also with Hanukkah, our flames will never be diminished. And what I like to do is show a powerful show of unity and a speedy recovery to the victims by keeping our light shining. So I know the lights are on, but if everyone can take out their cell phones and put on their flashlight so we can show everybody how united we are and that the lights won't dim. Thank you for that. So, hate against the Jews fed. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is going to stop us from being Jewish. Thank you. It is my honor to introduce our first speaker, our U.S. Senator, Charles Schumer.
Thank our JCC for bringing us all together on an important and hallowed night. One of anger, one of sadness, but also one of determination amongst all of us. We come here tonight for many reasons. To give comfort to the afflicted by reciting the Mishaberach, and asking for God's hand in healing the wounded, especially those struggling to survive. To pray the perpetrator of this heinous act is brought to swift, strong, and righteous justice, and all of the perpetrators of anti-Semitism are done as well. And we dedicate ourselves tonight and on into the future to the work of stamping out hatred and anti-Semitism and bigotry in our times. Anti-Semitism grows and prospers when people of goodwill are silent. We will not be silent. You Jewish people know what happens when there's silence. In Germany, in the late 20s and early 30s, when the Nazis reared their ugly heads, too much of the world and too much of Jewry in America was silent. And we all know what happened. Every one of us, probably, who is here tonight, who is Jewish, lost relatives. My great-grandfather was a famous rabbi in Ukraine. He and his wife believed very much, of course, in God's teachings. The first commandment of God to man in the Bible is Baruch, be fruitful and multiply. They had 18 children. The youngest three, including my grandfather, were sent to America. The remaining 15 stayed there. The great rabbi, my great-grandfather, had passed away, but my great-grandmother was the matriarch of the family. The Nazis invaded Ukraine, and they asked her to bring her greater family, well known in the community of Chortov, to all come to her porch. 31 people gathered on the porch, from ages 85 to 3 months. The Nazis said, "You're all coming with us." She said, "We will not move," and they machine gunned everyone. That is why we say, never again. That is why we cannot remain silent. We can never let something like that happen again. And if people say we don't have to do anything because it won't happen, we are doing the same. We are repeating the mistakes of the past. We will not repeat them. We will learn and grow and fight. The unspeakable evil that descended on this community a few days ago did not arise out of nowhere. This attack did not happen in isolation. No, it was the latest in an increasing series of anti-Semitic hate crimes in the New York City area and across the country. Tonight, in Jersey City, in my home borough of Brooklyn, grieving parents, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, and friends are doing there what we are doing here in Rockland County, trying to pull ourselves back together after an unpunishable evil that rent us apart. One thing we can look to for hope is this. If not for the heroism of a few in the midst of indescribable violence and terror, events would have been much worse. We have been inspired by the stories of courage and sacrifice that took place as the horror unfolded. One man, Mr. Wilf, threw a coffee table at the attacker, whisked the small child to safety, returned, fight the attacker, and then clocked the attacker's license plate, leading to his arrest. We all hope that he would act as he has acted in the same situation. Tonight we dedicate ourselves to that as well. And then, I'm told, after the attacker was chased off and the wounded were rushed to care, those remaining gathered to finish the Hanukkah prayers, to light the candles in darkness. I would ask everyone here tonight, humbly, to follow their example. The story of Hanukkah, we're taught, is about how the Jews of a different age, forced from their land, forbidden to practice their religion, their temple destroyed and desecrated, gathered to pray in secret, banded together in the hills and fields and fought off their attackers, ironically, Syrians. And once victorious, they set about the hard and slow and painful work of rededicating the temple, lighting once again the eternal flame of hope. Rededication. That is what those survivors took part in by lighting the candles that night. Rededication. That is what we are called on to do today. We must rededicate ourselves to protecting our people and houses of worship, and we must do it with words, but also with actions. So this afternoon, I called for quadrupling the funding to protect synagogues, shuls, and other houses of worship, to provide security guards, to allow them to install cameras, strong doors, and walls, so this building never again anything happens there. I will use, I promise you, my power as majority leader in the Senate to get this done and get it done quickly. We must also rededicate ourselves to fighting the rising tide of anti-Semitism, wherever and whenever it raises its ugly head. I've demanded the FBI conduct a top-to-bottom federal investigation of this attack and all of the other recent anti-Semitic violence that has occurred in our region and throughout our country. We need to know. We need to know if there are links between the attacks, and the FBI must dedicate itself. They're good people. They must figure out what more can be done to prevent these attacks in the future. And we must rededicate ourselves to rallying against hatred and bigotry of all kinds. And through our good deeds and our kindness and our charity, we can begin to perform hard work of tikkun olam, repairing this world, which always gets ripped apart. Our mission as Jews is to repair those pairs, and bring us back together. So in that endeavor, tonight, we ask God's blessing as we do each Hanukkah. He performed miracles. It is our sacred duty to the victims of anti-Semitism, present and past, to confront this crisis that has shaken so many communities across the country and throughout the world. All it takes is one courageous person standing up, like Mr. Gluck did in Rabbi Rothenberg's home, to stop the hate from spreading. Every one of us, every single one of us here can be that courageous person, but only if we meet the moment with clarity and conviction. Before the event celebrated during Hanukkah occurred, and long since then, so many have tried to annihilate the Jewish people and annihilate our spirit. But we have always fought back, and all those attempts have failed. Pharaoh is gone, Antiochus is gone, Hitler is gone. But the Jewish people live on. Long may they live. Here in Rockland County, in America, and there is Israel. Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel live.
Next speaker, I'd like to call Deputy Consul General of Israel in New York, Israel Nitzan.
Shalom. And I want to thank first of all the JCC and the Jewish Federation for inviting us, the Consul of Israel, to our second visit actually in 24, more than 24 hours. The Consul General of Israel, Ambassador Dayan, visited the county only yesterday morning, meeting Rabbi Hochul and meeting the representatives of the community here. This event, I think, that this gathering is very important for us. We're standing here in front of the menorah, and Hanukkah is over. But Hanukkah is the festival of light, and every night we light one more candle in our menorah in order to add a little more light out of the darkness of the night. We gather with our families, with our friends, to light the candles together to spread the light. This is the essence of this very special holiday. But this Hanukkah was very dark, especially dark, with daily anti-Semitic attacks against Jews here in New York. And Saturday night's brutal stabbing attack in Monsey during the Hanukkah celebration was the 10th or maybe even more attack of this week. And I'm joining you tonight as the representative, this evening as the representative of the State of Israel, in order to lend our support and to express our solidarity with the Jewish community of New York and the Jewish community of Rockland County. We are shocked and we are outraged by this recent attack in Monsey, but we also are outraged by this unacceptable spike of violent and lethal anti-Semitism in New York and against Jews in New York and across the nation. The darkness of anti-Semitism is not just a Jewish problem. As history teaches us, that the darkness of anti-Semitism is a threat to the society as a whole. This same thing with the presence of leaders from diverse communities in Rockland County and in the state of New York. We share this goal of bringing forth the light and joining forces to stand up for what is right. We must unite in our fight against this toxic hatred. And the role of your leadership is of utmost importance. As we know, the tallest candle in the menorah, the shamash, is used to help light other candles in the menorah. Each one of us should work to serve as a leader, as a shamash, to spread light, to spread love and unity. It is our duty, it is our responsibility as leaders of the communities. We recognize with appreciation the gathering of diverse leaders from New York, as we see here today. This is of utmost importance, a very strong message of leadership, of leaders serving as a moral compass here in New York, fighting against hatred, fighting against anti-Semitism. We also greatly appreciate the important work of here in the state of New York, in the city of New York, the good men and women who risk their lives every day to protect lives of others and to protect Jewish life here in the United States. So as we enter into 2020 very soon, I want to wish you a happy new year as we work together and stand in solidarity against anti-Semitism, against hatred. And again, it is our shared responsibility. We're here with you as the State of Israel, as the representatives of the State of Israel, not only in order to share the feeling, the sentiments, and express solidarity, but actually to work with you in this important mission. So thank you very much for the
I'm going to speak tonight. I went to Ken did not speak, but then Steve earlier today talked me into it. So I'll be brief and I'll speak from a cup. It's been a very difficult, painful 48 hours, the last 48 hours of leaving town around Ramapo. Our community is afraid, our community is hurt, traumatized, our community is angry. And this is not, this incident is the culmination of a long period of hatred directed toward the Jewish community in the town of Ramapo, and specifically the Orthodox community within the town of Ramapo and the county of Rockland. And it's at the point where we have Facebook pages that regularly engage in the most hateful, vicious, anti-Semitic statements and tropes, but the people that are behind it, or the people that comment on it, delude themselves by saying they're not anti-Semitic, they're only against the wrong type of Jews. They separate. They believe there are good Jews and bad Jews. If you look like them, if you dress like them, if you act like them, you're a good Jew. If you wear your hair differently, or you dress differently, or you go to a different type of synagogue than the person's neighbor might go to, you're now a bad Jew. And this whole idea of creating a concept of others, of who's acceptable and who's not, I think it could be summed up about a year ago. There was somebody at the time who was an elected official who said, well, there are Orthodox Jews and there are normal Jews.
What's that?
And ironically, with that person's definition of normal Jew, I think many of the people in this room who were Jewish would not qualify it. But, you know, we last saw 8 years ago a regime that decided to kind of categorize groups of people, and we see where that led. And Auschwitz didn't spring up overnight. I'm not saying that a statement like that is the equivalent of the Holocaust, but there was a world that led to the Holocaust. It didn't begin with the gas chamber. It began with othering people. It began with stigmatizing people. It began with casual anti-Semitism, the casual stereotyping that increased to the point that led to genocide. And I can't tell you how many people have come to me, not just in the last 2 days, but in the last 2 years, and said they see that trend, they see that here, and they hope to not be paranoid. And yes, this is the United States, this is not Nazi Germany, but again, there were people in 1933 and 1934 and 1935 in Nazi Germany, Jewish people who said, I hope I'm not overreacting, I'm sure things will get better, and we know where that led, they didn't get better. We have to stop the hate, we have to stop the hate speech, we have to hold people accountable for what they say on social media. We can't let people render it ambiguous and say, well, I'm not anti-Semitic, I just don't like when they do this, or I don't like when they don't do that. I'll just, paraphrase a comedian and say, if you say they when you refer to Jewish people, you're practically an anti-Semite. Thing that I find inspirational that has happened, and I touched on what Senator Schumer mentioned, people fought back. I opened the New York Times today, and the front page article was about this attack, and it pains me to see my town having to be on the front page of the New York Times for this reason. Yet, the headline gave me a little bit of pride because it said, as attackers swung a machete, Jews fought back. With that law, and in general, to the haters out there, whether you're in Rockland County, or you're in Ocean County, or anywhere else, if you don't want a Jewish community, the Jewish community is not leaving, the Jewish community is staying, and they're not doing it, they're fighting back. Thank you.
Our faith tells us, don't judge your fellow human being until you have stood in his place. There is more to another story that may appear to you on the face of things. One of the best ways I've seen to fight against the hatred of difference is to show solidarity with those being targeted. You may remember in Billings, Montana, in the 1990s, a Jewish family was attacked. A rock was thrown through the window in their 6-year-old's bedroom, where their Hanukkah menorah was displayed. All of their non-Jewish Jewish neighbors reacted by putting menorahs or pictures of menorahs in their own windows, showing deep respect and thwarting those who target difference. And a film of this event called Not in Our Town is well worth seeing if you haven't seen it. During the Holocaust, when Jews were required to wear a yellow badge to label them as Jews, there were a few places where the entire town professed to be Jewish, and suddenly there was no other to target. And after the terrible shooting in the mosque in New Zealand earlier this year, the Prime Minister declared aloud about the Muslim community, "They are us." I'd like to end with her words. She said, "We cannot confront these issues alone. None of us can. But the answer to them lies in a simple concept. The answer lies in our humanity." And as we enter the new year, 2020, let's agree to work together on an ongoing basis to engage our humanity and get to the heart of the crisis. That's how we'll heal.
Along with our President and CEO, Eric Fingerhut, in solidarity with you, on behalf of the Jewish Federations of North America, representing hundreds of communities across North America, and the hundreds of thousands of people who support and work in building and sustaining Jewish community. Our hearts go out to the victims of this latest barbarism. We pray that God will grant them a refuah shlema, a complete and speedy recovery from all injuries and trauma. And we pray that the Rockland community and everyone affected by this attack be granted peace of mind and spirit. Our best form of empathy, however, is to ensure that our communities are safe and prepared. As our bright Hanukkah lights fade, it is our sacred quest to ensure that those lights continue to shine their brightest for ages to come. Personally, as a child and grandchild of Holocaust survivors myself, I know the power of this moment. We will not devolve into fear and uncertainty. We will stand united. We will triumph over evil. We will join with our neighbors and friends in isolating and stopping those who would bring violence into our midst, and we will work together with our outstanding and brave partners in law enforcement. Together, we will bring light where there is darkness. We will face this epidemic of anti-Semitic violence head on. It is incomprehensible and unacceptable that we are not safe in our homes, our supermarkets, or our synagogues. At the Jewish Federations of North America, we have made it a priority to ensure that federal funding is available to nonprofit institutions who need to secure their facilities. This year, thanks to Senator Schumer and his colleagues on Capitol Hill from both sides of the aisle, that funding was first increased by 50% to $90 million, now available to communities who previously were ineligible, and as the Senator announced earlier, quadrupling to $360 million. On behalf of the Federation, Senator, thank you again so much for your leadership. And what that means is this Jewish Community Center, Rockland synagogues, and Jewish day schools are now able to apply for those funds, and your Jewish Federation is here to help. And as a Jewish community, the most targeted community group in the United States, we have much work to do, but we are already doing a lot and preparing to do more. Jewish federations across North America have been leading the efforts to secure our local communities, raising funds needed to build comprehensive community security initiatives, and these efforts, which include preparedness training and facility hardening, have accelerated over the past 18 months. JFNA's safety and security efforts are led by our Secure Community Network, which has dramatically increased capacity to support local federation security directors and to serve the vast majority of federations and communities that do not yet have such a resource. Ever since the Tree of Life massacre in Pittsburgh and the multiple assaults on our community in this past year, we have strengthened our resolve. We're working together with the ADL and our many partners because this is not the purview of one organization, one type of synagogue, or anyone acting alone. And we are working in full partnership with law enforcement at local, state, and federal levels. We need them, and they need our help to do their jobs. This is the time for our community and the wider community of all of us good and decent people to come together and to say, no more, no more. We will not allow evil and hate to change our way of life, and we will not leave anyone behind. Came here at Zone, so may it be God's will, and so may it be our sacred trust. I'm Yisrael Chai.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, JCC Federation. About 3.5 weeks ago, I gave an interview, and the person asking me the question said, well, what's your biggest issue right now? What are you most upset about? I said, the normalization of anti-Semitism. How swastika graffiti has become normalized. Where 5 years ago there'd be a press conference, there'd be a big article, now it's maybe a tweet that goes into our outlet. How anti-Semitic assault, especially in Brooklyn, has become normalized. Where there's barely even a reaction anymore. And people say to me, you're putting out another reward. What does it matter? And then to the point where there's potential normalization of murders of Jews on American soil. 18 months. Pittsburgh, Poway, Jersey City. Just a few days after giving that interview, Jersey City took place. In the last 2.5 weeks, we had murders of Jews and acts of domestic terror in Jersey City. We had a rise in a huge spate of incidents in Brooklyn, New York, where Jews were openly targeted for just being Jewish. And ending our Hanukkah here in Monsey with the horrific stabbing of 5 individuals while they were lighting menorah in the Rabbi's home. Normalization of anti-Semitism is unacceptable. We must continue to push back on anti-Semitism every chance we get. There are common themes to what I saw over the last 2.5 weeks. The first theme is individuals that are openly Orthodox Hasidic are targeted and being targeted. The assaults that we're seeing are targeting these individuals, and the fear that they have in Monsey, in Jersey City, and in Brooklyn is real, it's palpable, and it's changing their lives. They're afraid of going out on Shabbos. They're not sure what they're going to do with their children when they play on Shabbat or walk the streets. That is unacceptable in our society, and we cannot let that occur. And I know the leadership here with Senator Schumer and other leaders, we are not going to let that happen, and we must not let that happen. The other common theme is a theme that others have spoken about here at this dais, is law enforcement and first responders. What I have seen in Jersey City, what I saw this past week in New York City with the NYPD Crime Task Force, and what I saw here in Rockland and Monsey with the local law enforcement at the highest levels possible, working together, protecting the Jewish population is unbelievable. But there is a need for a call to action. It's wonderful for us to stand here and give a standing ovation to law enforcement, and God knows they deserve it. But what we need to do is the call to action. I ask each and every one of you to do this, and ask one of your friends or family members to do the same, is call your local law enforcement, call the local office of the FBI, call state police, and say thank you. They never get thanked. We need to thank them for their work. Throughout history, law enforcement has always had somewhat of a tenuous relationship with the Jewish community, not here in America. And we cannot take that for granted. They are our greatest partner, our greatest asset, and as a community, we need to thank them for that and and never take it for granted. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I stand here today in solidarity with the people of Rockland County on behalf of myself and Chabad Jewish Center of Suffern, as well on behalf of my colleagues, Rabbi, Chabad Lubavitch of the Nyacks, and Chabad Lubavitch of Rockland, Rabbi Bernstein. Our hearts are broken for those suffering physically, emotionally, from the Saturday night's attack. May God heal their wounds and lift their spirits. They took one for all of us. May they come out stronger than before. Amen. There is a sense in every decent heart today, a sense beyond shock or dismay, a sense of revulsion. How does a man lift a knife to another man? How does a person knowingly inflict brutal pain and suffering on his fellow man? Sure, the question is as old-fashioned as mankind, but it has not lost any relevance in its old age. The Ten Commandments, written by the Almighty God, the Maker and the Designer of human beings, speak to our human impulses and commands us to cherish our impulses and respect and honor, and to feel content for our impulses to hurt and injure, and especially for our most unkosher impulse of all, murder. But in order to succeed in a moral outrage against violence and murder, we must acknowledge that the Ten Commandments begin with the words, I am the Lord your God. The country is crying out for a bit of faith. Souls have been starved for decades by our experiences with secularism. We are begging for a taste of something higher. But where can a person take the feeling of accountability to a higher power if society has reassured them that there is no higher power? How can a person be told to humble himself and his urges if we have deprived him of every sense of awe and reverence? A society that declares awe to be old-fashioned and obsolete and replaces it with self-esteem and personal validation. We must bring faith in God back to our daily lives. We've been down this path before. As we conclude the holiday of Hanukkah, let's recall what was that the Maccabees fought for. During the times of Hanukkah, the Greeks had no problem with us studying Torah as an intellectual pursuit. The problem was that it was God's Torah. We were fighting for our spiritual survival, our identity and connection to God. Let us make that identity central and very public part of our lives. Let us light up the darkness as proud Jews, shine our menorahs to the world, place mezuzahs in our doors, teach our children the beauty of Judaism, and continue living publicly and proudly. Let's reestablish our relationship with the one who made us. Let's teach ourselves, our children, to ponder this question deeply and frequently. What does God expect of me today? And what am I doing in His Word to make it a better place? May God heal our pain, heal our friends, and heal our broken world. Help us along the way to a day when lo yisago el gohera. No man will lift a knife to another, and it will beat our swords into plowshares. Now let us turn to the Almighty God in prayer. Ask Him to send a complete recovery to those wounded. Please rise when we should bear our prayer. Mishaberach Havaseinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Bahar, David, Shlomo, Uyerabbe es Yosef ben Perol, Chaim ben Bittel, Shlomo ben Bittel, Naftali Tzvi ben Bittel, Gilam, Nachman ben Elka, Na'avur Shanach Yidin B'li Neder Tzedakah B'Avram, B'Schar Zeh Agad.
What I like everybody to do when they get home is, if you have a Twitter account, just hashtag, this is hate speech. Go on Facebook and hashtag, this is hate speech. If you read anything in any of the Facebook groups of Rockland County or New Jersey or anywhere, and you feel that it's hate, hashtag, this is hate speech. I want you all to say it again. It's very important that we embed that in our heads to make sure it never happens again. So here's the test. Hashtag. Come on. Still not good. Oh boy, that was real loud. But thank you. So if you can do that, that'll be great.
Day or two, a number of people have asked me, okay, this happened. Now what can we do? And we've heard a lot of things tonight, but I want to try to summarize it. I think that there are really three elements that we have to focus on as we go out of it. And I want to thank you all, first of all, for coming here, because it's so important that all of you come here and show solidarity and show support for this situation. The first of the three legs is security. We thank certainly our law enforcement friends who've done a wonderful job. We thank the Senator for his efforts in securing more money for that. Security is essential, but it's not sufficient. He treats the symptoms. He doesn't treat the cause. The second thing that we need is leadership and accountability. We need people to stand up and say, no, that's not acceptable. That's hate speech. Hashtag, no, that's hate speech. Hold people accountable for what they've said. Because we see what happens when we don't hold them. And the third element is to get to the really root core here. And the Commissioner touched on it with education. We have to educate people, and particularly our young people, about how toxic, how awful hate is. We have a wonderful institution here in Rockland County, the Holocaust Museum and Center for Tolerance and Education. And they go into schools, largely not Jewish schools, many of them Catholic schools. And they teach tolerance through the glass of the Holocaust. And they show students what terrible things happen when hate goes unchecked. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to walk out of here and we've got to teach people that hate unchecked is a toxic, terrible thing to happen. Somebody sent me a quotation from Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, the former chief rabbi of the British Empire. British Empire and Land's Theons. He said, and by the way, it's interesting that his title is Rabbi and then Lord, not Lord and then Rabbi. But he said, though my faith is not yours,
And your faith is not mine. If we each are free to light our own candle, together we can banish some of the darkness in the world. That's what we have to go out of here today thinking about. And I think about hope. Hope is another theme of Hanukkah. Light and hope. When we leave here, we hope for the recovery, certainly of the victims of Saturday night's attack. We wish them all a complete and quick recovery. The people who have been traumatized by that attack, and all of us who have been traumatized by the attacks that are going on and the hatred that is going on in our country. We hope that the fearmongers and the haters in our community wake up and see the consequences of the hate and the fear that they're spreading. Because what is happening is a direct consequence of the fear and the hate that is being spread. And finally, I hope for togetherness. In every dark cloud, they say there's a silver lining. And I hope that the silver lining in this dark cloud is that we pull together as not only a Jewish community, but a Rockland community and a New York State community. And we say, this has to end. And we work together to bring the community together. We had a wonderful meeting this afternoon with Attorney General James, who brought together many of the elements of the Jewish community who don't typically come to events like this. And it was a very useful and very promising thing. And I hope that we can come from this and go forward together to fight the scourge of hate. And in the theme of hope, I'm going to call upon Rabbi Barry Kennerat to lead us again now in the Hatikva, the national anthem of Israel. Appropriately, Hatikva means the hope. So, Andrew Kennerat.